Hello everybody and welcome back, and the party are here in the Ewok village, Phanaton village. It does say in the module that Phanatons are allies of Trents and Dryads and are friendly with elves. I have switched that up. I have given them a backstory which makes them wary of elves. Though that history goes so far back, it's part of the Phanaton creation myth, and their version of what happened and elvish folk is probably tied up with a lot of folklore and mythology. So they are cautious of Sylvia and wary of the party in general. We have told them that we're going to the central plateau, which is called the Mountain of Death, and we're going there to try and rid this place of evil. That helps somewhat with our relationship with them, but they're asking us to help them kill a race called the Aranea. The Aranea are chaotic, evil spiders that are intelligent, certainly intelligent enough to have skill with magic. And the Aranea are the natural enemies of the Phanaton, and indeed they are not safe from the Aranea in their treetops because these spiders themselves can climb trees. In return for this, the Phanaton have promised the party a guide to a direct route to the central plateau. Well, it won't save us time because we have to go to the Aranea camp, but it might save us some grief on the way. So where are we? We're here. We're going to take this path here. It will take us one day because we can move slightly faster on a path. And we will pass through these low hills, and then eventually this barren rocky land, which will be basalt because this is a volcanic island. And somebody kindly offered some geology in one of the comments, because my experience of granite is that it's bald, dry land, but not necessarily so. And that makes sense because if granite is largely impervious to water, if there is a bowl or a basin shape, water would gather there and form a sort of lake or even a marsh. But for all intents and purposes on this island, I'm going to have these low hills could very well be marshy and broken, and rising up behind them, the taller mountains would themselves be more barren and treeless. So we'll do it like that. Let's roll for the usual wandering monster in the middle of the day on the path. Now, whilst the party are walking on the path, the Phanaton are going at a hell of a speed in front of us, jumping from trees to trees and gliding on their wings, which is actually just a membrane like a flying squirrel. We have got two of the Phanaton bodyguards with us. They're still not very tough. Phanaton bodyguard still only has 2 hit dice and 10 hit points each. Even though they are our guides, we will be looking after them. So on a roll of 4, 5 or 6, do we get a wandering monster? And, well, okay, it's 50-50, not that incredulous. Right. Here we are on this table. Let's have a roll. And, as always, you at home can play your own gambling game. What's it gonna be? Oh god, that's 89. A Triceratops? Oh well, a Triceratops is a herbivore. Well, let's check the module to see if there's still herbivores on the Isle of Dread. And a Triceratops comes from the expert book. So let's look at a new monster. A Triceratops is a heavily muscled, 4-legged dinosaur that stands around 12 feet tall at the shoulder and it's nearly 40 feet long. It has 3 horns protruding from a bony protective crest that covers its head. Oh, right. Although it is a herbivore, it is aggressive and dangerous, usually attacking on sight. Right, it may charge for double damage on the first attack. Triceratopses are found on the plains of Lost Worlds. Okay, so we have found a gory Triceratops. Right, and it has 11 hit dice, an armor class of 2, and it does 3 to 18 points of damage, which is doubled for a trample. Let's see if there is any surprise here, because we can set a spear. This is something we haven't done before, and we'll look at the set spear rules in a second. So the party are facing off a Triceratops. Apart from the plesiosaur in the sea, this is our first land encounter with a dinosaur, so let's get some Lost World vibes going on. For a start, let's roll to see if anybody has surprise. It gets surprise on us. Oh dear, the encounter distance could be quite close then. It's 1d4 times 10. And it's just 10 yards away. Either we go blundering into this Triceratops or it goes blundering into us. It's in the jungle, it's a bit out of its natural terrain. It would have come from these hills close by. It has got a bleeding gash in its side. So I would suggest then that it's been attacked by an Allosaurus. Sorry, I forgot. We saw an Allosaurus. It's our second dinosaur. And maybe it's run away and gotten lost in the jungle and is injured. It's a good chance it is not in a good mood. I will do a reaction roll for it. After all this setup, it could simply decide to leave us alone. That's 6. It's not that good. Uncertain. Roll again. It turns towards us and gives us a warning bellow, almost like the way a bull in a field would bellow. This is a shock, because we didn't see it. And 5, that's attack. Alright, okay. This is a big Triceratops. It has 50 hit points, and I think with that bellow it would have charged. I did say we would look at the set spear rule. Again, we can find this in the expert book. Many fighters carry a normal spear in addition to other weapons. We have a spear +1. If a monster charges, that is, runs for 20 feet indoors or 20 yards outdoors before its attack, the fighter may set the spear, that is, holding the spear firm against the foot to defend against attack. If the charge is by surprise, there is no time to set the spear, so we aren't doing it this time. If the spear hits, double damage is inflicted. A monster inflicts double damage if the charge attack hits. Right, a spear does 1d6 damage, so double is 2d6. Considering how good the weapons mastery system is, I think setting a spear is redundant unless you had some sort of weapons expertise in a spear and you were allowed to add that to the set spear maneuver. As it stands, I don't think it's worth it. We have a marching order and we keep our most vulnerable people in the middle, so that means we have our 4 main fighters, Carrick, Donard, Maradin and Tybor on the outside. Let's see who rolls the lowest. And that is Donard. Well, he's got the most hit points and he's got a good armor class. So this beast comes charging through and hits our cleric. Well, tries to hit the cleric. Let's see. It has a THAC0 of 10 and his armor class is -2. So it needs a 12 or more to hit him. And it gets an 11. Right. Even though it doesn't do any damage, it certainly throws him back several feet. That is the surprise round. Round number 1. We get initiative. Good. Now, there's a good chance this creature will go down quickly. The intentions, Sylvia and Liz are going to shoot their missiles. Everybody else is going to do melee, and Malin is going to cast his magic missile. We can't do bless. We've been caught in combat. Though Donard might try to cast a light spell into its eyes. Okay, I think that's a better use. So let's do Liz. 9. Does she hit armor class 2? No, she doesn't. Sylvia. She misses as well. Spells. Let's do Malin and his 3 magic missiles. Alright. And rather drippy ones they are as well. That's just 8 points of it. It's down to 42. Right, can it save against a blind to its eyes? Its saving throw is 14 or more. And it makes it. Right, perhaps it turns its head and the blind spell hits its crest. Okay, let's do melee. We've got Carrick, who does hit AC 2 and does 5 plus 4 is 9. It's down to 33. And we've got Big Tybor, 2d6 plus 4 damage. Right, his melee THAC0 was 12. He hits. And look at that. You know, he has missed a lot in the past, and here he is. He hits, and he does 6 damage. Right, it's down to 27. I should have done his attack second. Right, this Triceratops is going to get another chance at our cleric. And it misses. Good. Look at that damage roll. But our poor cleric's being buffeted around the place. Round number 2. It gets initiative. Sorry, intentions. As before, though Malin has to sit this out, he doesn't have any offensive spells. There's no movement. Liz. Misses. Sylvia. Maridin didn't get his attack. I'll give him a double attack. Sylvia hits, just hits, and does 4 damage. It's down to 23. Donard's gonna get revenge. And he misses. I'm gonna give Maridin 2 attacks because he missed his last one. Right, his melee attack is 16, so he hits with the orange dice. What's that for? Does 7 points, it's down to 16. Then we're going to have Carrick, who hits well and does 11, it's down to 5. And let's do Maridin, who either misses and hits the ground hard, or who hits and doesn't do much damage. You know. And he misses again. Right. Oh dear, I think the rest of the party are in more danger of Maridin than the Triceratops. Okay, it's round number 3. We get initiative. This thing has 5 hit points left. Can Liz, who has felled dragons at the last minute, shot Hydra from the sky, can she deliver the arrow through the eye that's needed? And she can't. Can Sylvia? No, she can't. Melee, can Donard, who's been bashed left and right? Yes, he can, and he does 10 damage, and this wounded Triceratops with 1 bellow falls to the ground. And of course, we're quite shocked. We didn't take any damage. I will have to double check the charge rules to see if it gets not just double damage, but an advantage to its hit roll. The dust is going to settle. First thing Tybor says is, looks like there's good eating on this thing. And yep, we have to take care of our rations, so we're going to spend the rest of the day topping up our rations by cutting off bits of Triceratops. Then we'll settle down for the evening and I will roll for a nighttime encounter, and this is on a 6 or more. And there isn't one, so we can wake up the next day and set off again. We will, on this trail, make it to the edge of the jungle. And we're surrounded by low hills, and these hills are rocky, and even from this distance we can see that they're honeycombed with a cave system. Well, experience has told us things live in caves, so we're going to proceed with a bit of caution. The Phanaton have to leave the trees and walk on the ground, and they walk partially upright, partially on all fours. They are not as nimble on the ground as they are in the trees. But let's roll for a wandering monster at the edge of the jungle in the middle of the day. And there isn't one, so we'll move into the cave system, and heads poke out of the caves. We have seen these type of people before. They are Neanderthals, and Neanderthals are generally peaceful. They appear in the basic Dungeon Master book, and we did encounter them as far back as Keep on the Borderlands. They do start making signals to each other through the cave valley. There are intruders. We have no desire to upset these people, so we're going to back off a bit to these hills here, and we're going to camp for the night. We will try to make it as quickly through these caves as possible. Not because we're frightened of the Neanderthals, but more because we don't want to frighten them. So on a roll of 6, do we encounter anything in the night time? I have to ask myself, would that have been a 6 off camera? The curse of the green dice. Well, here we are again. Who wants to take a bet? I'm going to say it's our first dragon. There's only 3 chances, an 18, a 19 or a 20. Oh, it's a 44. That's a prehistoric elephant. Right. And again, if we go to the expert book, we can find prehistoric elephant. Their tusks. Prehistoric elephant is called a mastodon. It's basically a large shaggy elephant. Each tusk is worth 200 to 800 gold pieces. They live in cold, icy lands or lost worlds. There are swampland here. I wonder if it came from there. Firstly, let's do surprise. There is no surprise. Let's roll for the encounter distance. And that is 170 yards away. Quite a long way away. Right, let's roll for its reaction towards us. Seven. Uncertain. Right, we don't want to have this thing near us when we are camping for the night. These herbivores, if they are injured or feel their territory is being threatened, then they do turn aggressive. So we're going to prep ourselves. Usual front line, usual back line. And that's a 10. That's friendly. So it just gives us a trumpet noise and wanders off again. So we can bed down for the night and wake up the next day and continue towards the northeast. I am not going to do any getting lost as we have 2 Phanaton guides, which means we can do 12 miles per day, which is 2 hexes. So we'll get to here towards the end of the day. Did anything happen as we crossed the Neanderthal Valley? A roll of 5 or 6? Nope. What about this evening when we bed down for the night? No, again. Good. Right, so our third day will take us to the foot of these mountains, and things do get rocky and barren and a bit windier and cooler as well. We are using up our Triceratops steaks as we go. Let's roll again to see if we meet anything in the mountains. We do. I think I should have this table just photocopied and permanently on the table. Okay. I'm gonna go for a creature we haven't seen before. I'm gonna go for a rock. That's 76 to 77. Alright, 68. That is a 404 or Hakos. New monster. See description at the end of the module. A 4 or Hakos or Swordbeak is a 6-foot tall flightless bird having small useless wings and large hind legs. This bird eats meat and runs down its prey, often reaching great speeds across flat land. A 4 or Hakos is a large curved beak that snaps at its prey with the force of a sword. And there was 1 to 6 of them. There's only 1, right. Again, let's look for surprise. The surprise is mutual, therefore it's none. So let's look for the encounter distance. And that is 150 yards away. This thing can run at that speed. Let's check its reaction to us. And that's not that good. That's possibly attack. Roll again. We're going to get Sylvia, Maridin and Liz on archery duty because if this thing decides to run for us, well, here's some giant chicken for the next few days. It only has 3 hit dice and an armor class of 6. And that's a 7. Right, that's attack. We hear a rather prehistoric bird squawk, and for some reason this lone creature decides to run at us. Who gets initiative? We get initiative. Okay, I will roll for its hit points. 8. And 5 is 13. Let's see if it can get shot. It's got an AC of 6, 13 hit points. Right, let's do Liz. Does she hit AC 6? No, she misses. What about Sylvia? She misses. And Maridin hits, but does just 3 points. It's down to 10. And it gets to the group. Who has initiative? We get initiative again. I'm gonna say our archers are off to the sides, so we get another missile attack. Liz misses. Sylvia hits for 4 points, it's down to 6. Maridin hits for 5, and it's down to 1. And Carrick, who's partial to chicken for dinner, does what's needed and cuts its head off. Its large body runs around for a bit and then drops. And that's dinner sorted for the next few nights. Okay, the party are coming up towards the Aranea lair, and we'll see how that goes. The party are going to camp for the night in these mountains, and as the sun sets towards the west, Liz points towards the southwest, and where not too far away there is a ridge of hills, and she says look, and sure enough over the ridge is a little line of Neanderthal faces looking at us. What they want, we don't know. Perhaps they followed us to ensure that we left their territory. Perhaps they were just curious as to who we were. Or else maybe it was the smell of Triceratops steak being cooked on a fire that brought them over. We have just killed this large 4-hour hakos bird. Parts of it have been cut up and are now hanging from a post to cure. And Tybor feels sorry for these people who he somehow instinctively feels an association with. And he suggests that, we give the big chicken to the hairy people. And we don't see any reason why not. After all, the carcass will just go to rot if we just leave it here. So we carry the carcass of the bird over about 200 yards away from our camp and leave it there. And it takes some of these Neanderthals a few minutes to pick up their courage. Perhaps the offer of free food overrides any caution, and they scuttle towards it, surround it, and very quickly pick it up and run off again. And we don't see them again. Maybe we will see them on a return journey back to the Rakasta camp, but for the time being, they leave us alone and they can go back to their own cave community with, well, some free food for this evening. We will bed down for the night, and will we meet anything on a roll of a 6? We don't. The next day takes us this time to cross these mountains, trying to find easy ways down them and easy ways up them. But anyway, we're here, and from this high vantage point, we get a good view of the jungle beneath us. A part of it is covered in webs, either the mesh-like webs of 10,000 small spiders, or the mesh-like webs of a few giant spiders. This is the Aranea lair, and the Rakasta start jabbering in their language and pointing at it. We'll roll for an encounter during the day, on a 5 or a 6. And we get one, right? Okay, will it be the dragon? And that's a 96. That's a wyvern. We haven't had a wyvern before. And it's 1 to 2 of them. Odds is 1, evens is 2. And it's just 1 of them. Let's see who has surprise. We have surprise on it. So what are we going to do? Right, let's find its encounter distance, which is 1d4 times 10. It's just 30 yards away. And a wyvern is yet again another new monster for the party from the expert book. It's got 7 hit dice and an armor class of 3. It flies and it looks like a 2-legged dragon. In combat, the wyvern will bite and arc its tail over its head to hit the opponent in front of it. Those stung by the tail must make a saving throw versus poison or die. These beasts prefer to live on cliffs or in forests, but may be found anywhere. Right, okay, so this wyvern, it could be just below us, as in we climb over a ridge and look beneath us, and there on a cliff-top perch is this wyvern. Perhaps it patrols the jungle beneath it as its territory. I don't think we want to tackle this, especially since we can see its barbed tail from here. So we're going to back off from this encounter and find a way around it. Right, eventually we're going to have to make camp in these bleak hills overlooking the jungle, and Malin looks at the massive webs which is acting as a canopy in the treetops beneath us, and he comes to the conclusion that a web spell won't be working. So he's going to take away his web spell and replace it with either a second invisibility, levitate, or mirror image. I think he's going to go for the mirror image. Let's sleep for tonight before we make our descent into the jungle and take on the Aranea lair. We have a rather safe night. The Aranea lair looks like this, and each of these 3 webs is described as a canopy which has been waterproofed with leaves and branches and other bric-a-brac. And there are 3 Aranea here. I think for a party of our level that won't be too difficult, so I will think of a way of beefing up this encounter to make it more difficult. And I don't want to do it in one of those ways where the party nearly all die. It's quite difficult to make a balanced encounter because if one side wins initiative, then they almost win the entire battle. I will think of that overnight and the party will take on the Aranea next time, so I will see you then.